As we noted at the start of this course, the creation of UV seams can affect not only the material on our static mesh, but also any light maps that are created for indirect lighting. On top of this, whenever we create a UV seam, a duplicate of the UV verts and edges along with that seam need to be created in order to split the UV shells apart. This means that the more seams we have on our mesh, the more the vertex and edge count for that model will rise and rise. As keeping these numbers as low as possible can help improve engine performance, let's take a look here at a few tools that can help us do just that. To make a start, let's select our arm geometry, and then hit the Zoom Extent Selected button so that we can focus in on the selected geometry. Now initially, the tools that we will want here are unavailable as we need to make use of a subobject mode in order to gain access to them. For the majority of our work in this exercise then, we will probably find ourselves in Edge mode. And so in the Modify tab in the command panel, let's make sure that we are in Edge subobject mode, and then scroll down if needed to access the Peel rollout. Now we have already seen that when engaged in UVW mapping work, 3ds Max will display UVW seams on an object as a green line in the viewport. Creating either peel or pelt mapping seams, though, is not counted at this point in the workflow as the same as creating a UVW seam, although they do ultimately become them. In fact, let's engage our Edit Seams tool, and then press F4 so that we can see our geometry's topology flow if it is not already engaged. You can see, as I click a succession of edges now, that we aren't creating a green UVW mapping seam, but rather a blue peel mapping one. Let's select all the way around the left and right hand sides of the arm using the various selection tools at our disposal, such as a double click and using the Convert Edge Selection to Seams button. We also want the edges at the back of the arm, which we can select via the Point-to-Point Seams button, although we may need to press F3 so that we can make the edge selection. Remembering that a single right click will allow us to make another point-to-point selection, but 2 right clicks will disengage the tool. This kind of placement will keep the seams hidden whilst still allowing the UV clusters to separate. If we then wanted to deselect some of the edges that we already have in order to create a different seam path, then all we need to do inside the Edit Seams mode is hold down the Alt key and click to deselect an edge. Or we could of course also marquee select with a click and drag, remembering to hold down the Alt key as we do so. Now that we have learned how to set up or create UV seams, we can practice adding them to any of our visualization objects. However, having laid the foundation for seams, we still need to know how to actually go about using them to create usable mapping solutions on our static mesh actors.